Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA, episode 313. I am Brendan. UFC Fight Night, Vicente Luque versus Rafael dos Anjos. We're going to cover the main card here. We're going to break down all the fights round by round. If you like this kind of stuff, if you like MMA, you like podcasts about MMA, subscribe to the channel so you know the next video is coming out. I do 2 or 3 videos every single week breaking this stuff down. Bellator, one championship, UFC, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. All right, Vicente Luque taking on Rafael dos Anjos, or Rafael dos Anjos. I've heard him pronounce his name Rafael, and when a fighter pronounces his own name a certain way, I figure that's the correct way to do it. But I've always heard it Rafael dos Anjos. I mean, he is Brazilian. Anyway, all right, just a dominant performance by Luque. Just looked fantastic for the most part here. Luque with a hard kick to the body to start out. RDA landing a nice right hook as Luque tried to exit. RDA in on a takedown, gets the back body lock into the clinch. RDA landing a nice elbow and a right hand as he lets the clinch go. RDA landing 2 straight left hands right down the pipe. He was landing pretty well early on the feet. Luque with the hard left hook to the body. Luque gets a takedown and RDA pulls for the guillotine to escape and they get back up. Both guys had their moments in the round. I felt like RDA did more through the whole round, landing decent shots, and Luque closed the gap at the end. So you could give this first round to Luque, no problem. I just leaned towards Rafael dos Anjos. And if you look here, RDA, he outstruck him 17-16. I felt like he did more damage with those ones. But if you gave this to Luque, I totally understand. I mean, look at the control time here, 130 to 120. Not a lot of separation here. Total strikes, 20 to 20. Seriously, the only difference, the biggest difference is Vicente Luque did with the takedown. So if you want to call everything equal, then Luque probably gets this round. That's not how I saw it. I had it for RDA. Luque overruns his strikes and ends up in the clinch again. He reverses and gets control against the fence. Keep that in mind. That happens a lot. RDA keeps the pressure and gets the takedown right back up with RDA in the clinch. Luque reverses again. Luque staying busy against the cage for most of the round and landing enough with all of that control. So again, look at the striking numbers here, 11 to 10, but total strikes is a differentiator here, 32 to 14, and the control time, 2 minutes and 23 seconds. So that 11 to 10 going in favor of Luque definitely gave him this round, in my opinion. It wasn't just this part. It was the fact that he separated himself with the control as well. So Luque, I had it tied 19-19. Luque landing the jab nice, and the straight as a measuring shot. RDA landing a hard body kick, moving back into the clinch. Luque getting the takedown again against the clinch. RDA landing a nice left hand, moving his way into range, and a counter right. RDA shot a double. Luque went for the Darce choke that he always does for a second, but he just couldn't get it. And then he got an arm drag to a back body lock as RDA had control there for just a second, but Luque swung it around. A close round, but I got to go Luque again with that constant jab and the fence work. RDA did land some big shots, so I could see him going. I could see this third round going towards RDA, but I just for the big shots that he landed, but I didn't think that they did enough damage. Luque 18 to 11 for the total strike, or for the significant strikes here, and he had more control time yet again. I thought he was kind of starting to walk away with this one, 29 to 28. Luque moving forward now, landing that jab as he enters, getting into the clinch. Luque gets a takedown against the cage, and then they get right back up. When they separate, RDA, he can land some really good stuff, but then he goes for the takedown and loses position and ends up with his back to the cage every single time. Striking numbers here, 10 to 9. There was a 1-strike differential in round 1, 2, and 4. That's the control time again, 3 minutes and 40 seconds for Luque. And the last round here, RDA was wearing ankle sleeves that Luque was using to take him down, so he was actually grabbing the sleeves on his ankles, so his corner took them off, so Luque wouldn't be able to get those takedowns anymore. Luque was poking with that jab, landing some good body kicks. RDA went for a takedown again, end up with his back to the cage again, even though his coaches told him not to grapple like that. RDA was starting to throw now, landing a hard body kick, trying to use those hooks, but gets into the clinch again. RDA landing a hard left hook and almost lands a head kick, but Luque basically pulls guard to stay safe. I thought this last round went to RDA. I think this last round and the first round were RDA's round, and then the middle bits were Luque. Luque stayed safe here in the last round, getting outstruck 19-17, but that really didn't matter. Looking at the official judges' scorecards, all over the place. Saul D'Amato had round 1 and 2 for Luque. Understandable. I've already said that. That's fine. Third round for Dos Anjos. Again, I said that you could do that. I don't agree with it, but you could do that. Round 4 for Luque, obviously, and round 5 for Dos Anjos, giving it 48-47 in favor of Luque. Now, what makes this interesting is if you look at Camijo's card, Camijo gave the first round to Dos Anjos and the third round to Dos Anjos, but not the last round. So if you combine these two cards, right, you combine these two cards where both guys give Dos Anjos the first round and both guys give Dos Anjos the last round, because they both gave him round 3. Now we're looking at a 48-47 in favor of RDA. People would have been real pissed. And then Ron McCarthy gave rounds 2 through 5 all to Luque. Again, I can see it because they were relatively close. I just felt like that last round should have gone to RDA. Interesting. I did not match a single judge's scorecard. Round for round, that is. What does that mean for Vicente Luque? Well, coming off of 2 losses in a row to Jeff Neal and Bilal Muhammad, those guys are no joke. They're up in the rankings. So what do you do next? Well, one of the things you can do is stop fighting guys with bad matchups and then put him with some fun striking. I thought Jeff Neal would have been a more fun back and forth. Sean Brady's a bad matchup. I wouldn't put against Stephen Thompson again. Shavkat Rakhmonov is a horrible matchup for him. That's the thing, is everybody in the top 5 can wrestle. You got Usman, Covington, Muhammad, Chimaev, and Burns all can wrestle. Top 6, Rakhmonov. The only one in the top, then you start to get to people who aren't known for the wrestling, is Stephen Thompson, Jeff Neal. But then Sean Brady can wrestle, and then you got Vicente Luque. So I don't know if he jumps up in rankings after this fight, but I definitely think he has a lot of challenge trying to get to the next level. I think if this kind of anti-wrestling and takedown defense stuff can hold out towards some of the higher level of talent, he might be able to crack the top 5 again. Other than that, he's going to just need favorable matchups. Cub Swanson versus Hakeem Dawodu. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about it. Now, people were very upset about this decision, and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about where I lean. Just my bias up front. I'm a huge Cub Swanson fan. So that should tell you something about how I'm going to score this. Dawodu is landing some nice leg kicks. Cub triple jabs his way in, landing a big right hand behind it. Cub entered, and they exchanged with Cub landing a right hook on the exit. Dawodu is landing hard low kicks and landing a nice kick to the body. Cub landing a right hand to the body. Both guys landing stiff jabs as they enter. They exchange again, and Dawodu staying even with the punches and then landing kicks to separate himself. So anytime they would enter and they would throw combos, Dawodu would land some kicks on the separation. Cub landed a head kick and a step in right. Dawodu landed more damage in this first round using those kicks to pull in front, in my opinion. So I had Dawodu up 10-9. Second round, Cub's trying to counter with that left hook as Dawodu enters, landing a decent uppercut. Dawodu with the clinch against the cage. Cub landing some knees up top, hooks to the body. Cub landing a hook and Dawodu landing a 1-2 to return. Dawodu pushing into the clinch again. Cub ends the round landing hard with some big shots, staggering Dawodu. I don't know if that's enough to do it right at the end of the round, so I had a 20-18 to Dawodu. So first round, 29-23 for striking numbers in favor of Dawodu, right? No control time, okay? Second round here, 29-28 in favor of Dawodu. Now this gets interesting. Round 2, Cub Swanson landed more to the head. Dawodu separated. I said he separated himself with a kick, so he had 5 more kicks to the body or to the legs, and then a couple kicks to the body. So you look at this. He was outstruck by 1 in total significant strikes, right? But he rocked him at the end of that round. He did. He landed really good at the end of the round. The problem was you couldn't see how it affected Dawodu because he just stood there, which I thought was really smart. You could see that he stood there and he didn't want to move. And like you could call it off as bravado and whatever you want and toughness, but really I think he was just not moving to show that he to show no inklings that he was hurt whatsoever. And then once the round's over, then you can do whatever you want. The control time here, 2 minutes and 20 seconds of control time in the clinch. I think that would be a separator if the damage wasn't in favor of one person, that's how I saw it. I thought Dawodu did enough damage anyway, so I put him up. So I had him up 2 rounds to 0, 2 rounds and none. Last round here. Cub was staying in his face, making Dawodu miss, landing some shots. Nice jab from Dawodu. Cub using the headlock throw. They get right back up. Dawodu in on the clinch. Dawodu landing a low blow, a low blow knee, and then he landed another low blow. No point deduction, just a warning. Now, this is what pissed me off because obviously we know that low blows, they change the outcome of the fight. Nobody you'll see it on Twitter and social media and stuff. People will be like, they'll talk about the fight as a whole, but they won't mention the low blows or they won't mention the fouls playing a role unless it's their perceived favorite or the perceived favorite not getting the decision going their way. So had Cub Swanson kicked Dawodu in the nuts, I guarantee you there would have been an uproar about it. But because Cub Swanson got the nod here, and he wasn't supposed to win this, then he's not getting the nod. I mean, everybody's high on Dawodu. He's really good, by the way. Cub Swanson gets a takedown with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. Dawodu was landing more volume in this last round, but Cub was staying in there hard with landing like really hard hooks. Cub led him up with 12 seconds left. Not enough time, but he can. I did give him that last round, 29-28. So Cub ends up getting the split, the unanimous decision win here. I don't think that's a right decision. I have to go look at and see what rounds they gave Cub. But the rounds were not blowouts. This is not a robbery. Like the way they were acting was like Dawodu put on a virtuoso performance here, and he got robbed of a decision. I don't think so. I think they were relatively close. So let's look at the scorecards. Saul D'Amato gave the first round to Dawodu and the second 2 rounds to Swanson. See that second round. I'm serious. Go back and watch those last couple punches. People might have tuned out. People might have not given it credit for what actually happened. Swanson fucking cracked him. He cracked him good. Right? He had Dawodu rocked at the end of that round, and there was nothing that Dawodu did in that second round that really swung the damage in the favor. I just thought because we couldn't tell how much Dawodu was hurt, I didn't give it as much credit. So I gave that second round to Dawodu, but I think Saul D'Amato's card is defensible here. And everybody else saying that round 1 was close. I didn't feel like it was that close. Everybody just defaulted to Dawodu getting that second round because of the clinch work. Which is the easy answer. You're like, oh well, the striking was relatively close, or they thought Dawodu way outlanded him, which he didn't. So. Ron McCarthy and Jacob Montalvo both gave Swanson round 1 and 3. So round 3, all 3 judges gave round 3 to Swanson, rightfully so. I thought that was correct, and then even people were complaining about that. So I think the commentary team did a disservice in this fight to Cub Swanson's skills and abilities. I felt like they emphasized what Dawodu was doing. Now, I still scored it for Dawodu. I stand by that. I gave my reasonings for why I scored it for Dawodu, and I think that they got the decision wrong. I think Dawodu really did get this win here. But this is not the same as some of the other stuff that we've seen. This is not one of the worst decisions we've ever seen. The commentary team made it seem worse than it actually was. Okay, it was a relatively close fight in each round. It was not a blowout. Okay, the damage was not a blowout in one direction. 6 leg kicks do a lot of damage, and then one big hook up top does a lot of damage, right? Now, which one of those is closer to ending the fight on its own? The big hook up top, especially given certain positional stuff and the way the person reacts to it and the way the person moves. There's a lot that goes into that and people's perception of each thing. What I'm trying to do here is just explain why I don't think it's egregious. And I'm a huge Cub Swanson fan, and I think they got this wrong. Okay, I love Cub Swanson. I love his fight style. I love his persona. I love all that stuff. And I think he lost his fight. I do. But to go out there and say that this is one of the worst decisions, like people were so upset and they're just shitting all over all the judges. The judges have done way worse than this. This was not the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't know. I think people just want to be mad. I think part of it is people had money. I bet you people had money on Dawodu. Khalil Roundtree versus Chris Daukaus. This did not last very long, huh? It's weird. Daukaus, every time he would enter, he was just getting caught. Roundtree landed the left hand a couple times as a counter. That's pretty much what happened. Daukaus landing a straight right. Roundtree landing a right hook counter. Big right, left straight puts Daukaus down, and it's over. Striking number 16-8 in favor of Roundtree. Great shot from him putting Daukaus down. Moving on. Polyana Viana versus Jasmin Lucindo. All right, Lucindo landing a hard left hook. Viana landing some hard body kicks and decent hook combo. Then gets a body lock takedown, and the ref stood them up really fast. I did not like that shit, and it plays... Okay, so this plays a role in the fight and how it ended. Now, it doesn't mean that the fight would have gone the other way, but let's get to it. Lucindo got the takedown. She could get that round. Lucindo could because of recency bias, but if you look at the control time, Viana had more control time. The striking numbers were even, and she had more total strikes. I gave the first round to Viana. This will be important. Let's go look at the judges' scorecards and see what they say, because I guarantee you they gave it to Lucindo. And that, like I said, that's recency bias, because at the end of the round, she was on top. The end of the round being on top is not more important than being on top in the beginning of the round. The round is scored as a whole, and each second is as valuable as any other second. Okay? The last 30 seconds of the round are not more valuable than the first 30 seconds. Okay? Despite what your brain wants to tell you or what your personal opinion is, that is not the facts. A strike landed in the first second is the same as a strike landed in the last second. So I gave that first round to Viana. Second round here. Hard right hand from Lucindo wobbles Viana for a second. Viana overextends on her entry, gets taken down. I like how Lucindo gets multiple warnings for activity, but Viana didn't. Viana got one warning and then immediately stood up after that. Lucindo got multiple warnings, but was allowed to work and ends up getting the arm triangle finish. It must be really nice to have favorable reffing, right? I think that changes the outcome of the fight, right? If she would have let Viana stay on top, we could have had a really boring fight where Viana just stayed on top in the entire first round. Does that make Lucindo so tired that she can't perform the way she did in the second round? Who knows? If he stands up Lucindo in the second round, does she get that arm triangle? Who knows? This is where Chris Tognoni really entered himself into how this fight took place. No one's going to talk about it, but I really don't like that stuff. If you're going to do something, you have to at least be consistent across the same fight, at least. From fight to fight may be different. Maybe you know that this guy's a wrestler and you're going to let him work on the ground. Maybe this guy is a really good striker and he's on the ground and he's just kind of sitting there and you can tell that he's just resting. Let's keep the activity up. Let's stand him up. So, it's up to your discretion. But in the same fight, when Viana gets a takedown, you're going to start warning her to stand back up, and then you make her stand up after like 30 or 45 seconds. But you let Lucindo sit on top for longer initially before the warning, and then you give her 2 warnings, and then you let her keep working, and then she gets the finish because of that. Not cool. Let's see how the judges scored that first round, huh? There you go. Adelaide Bird was the only one who scored that one right, in my opinion. That's scary. Junichiro Kamijo and Ron McCarthy both gave that first round to Lucindo. I'm telling you, go back and watch that first round. This will show you how the human brain works. And you want to talk about, and everybody probably thought that too, but go back and watch that. Viana had more control time. She did just as much damage. It happened earlier in the round. Lots of wackiness. Lots of wackiness on the scorecards. All over the place. AJ Dobson versus Tafon Nchukwi. Nchukwi missed weight by 3 pounds. Oh, rough. Not the only guy to do it on this card. Both guys landing low kicks. Nice jab from Nchukwi. At range, Nchukwi is landing the hard low kicks. Dobson landing slightly softer kicks. Neither guy committing with the hands. Dobson catches a kick and gets some ground and pound, but not enough to swing it for him. I had the first round 10-9 Nchukwi. Here's the thing. If you look at... I didn't have their stats up. If you look at the striking numbers, Dobson's ahead on the strikes. I saw when they posted that while I was watching. I did not see that. I did not see it. Dobson, here's a difference maker. Dobson landed 5 more leg kicks. Nchukwi's leg kicks were so much harder. The damage was in favor of Nchukwi. Okay? And Nchukwi did way more damage in that first round. Because you're going to go leg kick for leg kick, and Nchukwi's did way more damage. Second round, right back to the position they had in the first round. Neither guy separating themselves this round. I feel like Dobson finally did land some decent punches in there. It could go either way. You know, the striking numbers were real close. Dobson 28-26, and then here you go again. Nchukwi landing some really nice leg kicks, 15 of them, and Dobson did land some nice punches though. Right, that's what separated. So I gave it to Dobson, but it was real close. Last round here, Dobson caught a kick and got on top at 3 minutes and 50 seconds and kept him down until right before the end of the fight. So I had a 29-28 Dobson. Let's go look at the scorecards because I'm interested. Look at that. All over the place again. Saul D'Amato giving that first round to Nchukwi. Everybody else giving it to Dobson. Same with that second round. Everybody's reversed. He gave that second round to Dobson. And Ron McCarthy and Montalvo gave... So this one was all over the place. This is what's going to happen when you're having a point fight. You know, when you're having a point fight and you're standing at range, it's going to be up to interpretation. Okay? Obviously, the last round was easy to score, but you're going to leave it. You're going to leave it up to interpretation, and somebody's going to be upset. Yeah, I don't. That's not a bad decision. Josh Fremd versus Jamie Pickett. Boy, I had such high hopes for Pickett. He has all the skills in the world. Fremd missed weight by 3 pounds, so that helps him. Pickett doesn't have his dreads anymore. I miss him. Fremd's landing the kicks to the body and a side kick to the lead leg. Fremd pressing Pickett to the fence and landing some small shots in the clinch. Not a ton of damage, but Fremd did more. So 10-9. Looking at the striking numbers here, only 11-4. Not a lot of striking in this fight. 11-4 in favor of Fremd. Fremd rushing in, landing body kicks, and going for the takedown. Just nothing there. Pickett gets a double leg, fights off a guillotine. Fremd gets up and goes for the guillotine again, getting Pickett to the ground. 20-18, 13-5. Not a lot of striking here. Again, same as this last round. Pickett rushes him, starts swinging hard. Fremd lands a flying knee. Pickett goes for the takedown at 4 minutes and 20 seconds, goes for the back, but slips off, ends up on bottom. Fremd wins this one. Just a lot of positional control. You look at it, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 1 minute and 50 seconds, and 2 minutes and 53 seconds of control time, and then he outstruck him in every single round. It was just, it wasn't the most exciting fight. And this is the last fight, so I'll say my piece here, and then we'll get moving real quick. The other week, I talked about a guy in the PFL who missed weight, and I I got real upset about it because he missed weight by, half a pound or whatever. I'll tell you, DC, as much as I don't like his commentary that much, and it's not just him, other people talked about it. The hardest weight to cut isn't the first 10 pounds. It's the last couple pounds. That's why people quit. That's why people don't cut them. Okay? That last pound is the hardest one to cut. It just is. So if you're not willing to put in the work to get down to the weight class that you signed up to fight at, you shouldn't be allowed to fight. There should be severe consequences for that. That's why I appreciate what Stephen Thompson did. Just saying, I'm not fighting him. Michel Pereira missed weight. I'm not fighting him. We're not fighting in the same weight class. No amount of his purse is going to make up for the amount of damage it'll do to my career if I take a loss right now. And I'm not giving him any advantage going into this. One thing that you could do though, what I like is what they do is they can't gain back any more weight. Like, let's say on the weigh-ins you miss weight by a pound. Tell them you can't gain any weight from here. You have to weigh this exact weight as we go in there and fight. That's your punishment. I like that. It really diminishes the guy, and it punishes him for missing weight without taking his money. I'm really not a fan of taking money. I'm not, because they already don't get paid that much anyway. I don't want to take their money away. It doesn't make any sense to me. All right, that's it. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos coming out. I do 2 or 3 videos every single week, but breaking down fights. Prelims are going to be in the next video. I put up Bellator already from this weekend, so I appreciate y'all. Have an amazing week. Love you.